All right. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the second part of BusinessWorld Insights Leadership Series with the theme Embracing Digitalization, C-Suite in Digital Transformation. I'm Leo Uy, and I'll be moderating this forum. So, there's been a lot of discussion about digital transformation lately and how necessary it is for firms to adapt in this current environment. It's been almost a year since the community quarantine, and I think we have enough sample size already to discuss how firms manage to stay afloat, manage their digital transformation journey, and finally how they assess the constraints surrounding said journey. We're privileged to have with us three senior executives in today's panel that would share their insights on the matter. Our first speaker, we have Marivic Españo, who is chairperson and CEO of P&A Grant Thornton, one of the Philippines' leading professional services firms, providing audit, accounting, advisory, and tax services, and as a member firm within the Grant Thornton International Limited Group. Marivic brings to her post extensive experience in taxation and organizational management. She joined P&A Grant Thornton in 1997 and was admitted to the partnership in 1999. Before joining the firm, she worked with the Department of Finance, the Senate of the Philippines, and Atlantic Gulf and Pacific. Thank you for joining us, Marivic. You now have the floor for your opening statement.
Thank you, Leo, and good morning. First of all, I would like to thank you and the business world for inviting me to be a part of today's discussion. I'm excited to hear the ideas and views that will be shared today, as I am sure that we will learn from each other during the session. Now, digital transformation has always been at the forefront of the business plans of dynamic organizations, especially in the last decade. With the new normal, those companies who have already invested in digital transformation initiatives prior to the pandemic now have the upper hand. They are reaping the benefits of the investments that they have made. Now, you might ask what segment of businesses have embarked on transformation initiatives. In a survey that our firm conducted among our clients last June 2020, while we were in the middle of the pandemic, on the impact of COVID-19 on their digital transformation agenda, the results show that 63% of our respondents said that they already had ongoing or had completed digital transformation projects even before the lockdown. 70% of the respondents said that they had started digital transformation projects due to the pandemic. 11% have not started at all, while 9% did not have any plans at all for digital transformation. Today, almost a year since the lockdown last year, as companies see that going back to the old normal will take a longer period of time, assuming we will indeed be able to go back to where we were before, I believe there is a higher level of acceptance that the adoption of technology in business is needed by companies to help them keep their businesses afloat and prepare for recovery. Focus will be on the use of technology to support organizational processes under a remote work environment, monitoring implementation and compliance of workplace safety protocols and new workplace regulatory requirements, as well as delivering goods and services to clients in the manner that will equally ensure their safety. For those who have yet to start, I believe it is certainly not too late for them. There are available tools that can be easily accessed. It is important, though, for companies to appreciate and understand the role that technology plays in the pursuit of their corporate goals so that they can make the right decisions and choices. I think it is true for all business organizations, regardless of its size, that resources are limited and that there are so many competing needs. A choice must therefore be made which business needs must be prioritized. A digital transformation plan that is linked to a company's strategic plans would be very helpful in decision making. Finally, I'd like to say that as senior executives, it is up to us to exercise care and diligence in developing a roadmap and selecting the appropriate solutions, given the high cost of technology and the change that digital transformation projects introduce into organizations. It is a matter of prioritizing the segments of our businesses that need digital intervention, knowing which digital tools we need, and gearing our people for them. I'd stop here and will be willing to expound further on these points during the panel discussion. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you for that, Marivic. Okay, so our next speaker, we have David Almerol Jr., who is the founder and CEO of MultiSys Technologies Corp. A full-time technopreneur and full-stack programmer by heart, he founded MultiSys, the leading software solutions company in the Philippines that blazes the trail across the IT, government, healthcare, utilities, hospitality, retail, and banking and finance industries. It is considered as the country's most important technology provider, with its platforms being used by more than 2,500 companies, institutions, and organizations from the public and private sectors. Also, David is among the the Outstanding Young Men honorees for 2020, particularly for science, technology, and engineering. Welcome, David, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Leo, and greetings to all the speakers, Ms. Marivic and Ms. Gwen. Yes, I think the ongoing health crisis has demonstrated the significance of technology nowadays in the Philippines, not only in the Philippines, but all throughout the world. And technology's role in society is becoming a mandate. It will continue to spur the use of technologies in the country in many aspects of our lives moving forward. And I'm sure a lot of organization is now aiming to have their own digital play or digital recovery or organizational recovery in the next future of years, because a lot of industries has been um, uh, uh, affected because of the pandemic. We also know that tech trends such as cashless, contactless services, and paperless transactions were crucial, not only in mitigating the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, but also in helping businesses to stay open. We need technologies to be able to rise above the challenges and to participate well in recovery and growth, especially in the transformation journey each of the industry. I think we need a lot of leaders, and leadership and sustainability will be the key drivers of the digital transformation. The word digital transformation is quite a broad word, but step little by little, we Filipinos are now moving into a fast pace of not only recovery, but we're becoming a leader in terms of like innovations, technological innovations, whether in healthcare, in e-commerce, in e-payment, in e-government, in a lot of industries. I think Filipinos has been triggered their creativity. Now, me myself, I can see a lot of groups now. They are inventing or implementing a lot of technology, not only to save lives, but also to make sure that we can survive with the new normal. I think achieving holistic digital transformation will help us not just to survive, but to adapt the changing times as well. In my own perception, digital transformation is a continuous, sustained process, meaning it's a learning process. There will be no such thing as a perfect start, especially with the, especially in the Philippines, because basically we've been slingshot in this new era of digital transformation. But since we are so creative and we know how to adapt easily, we Filipinos, we're all survivors. And every time that we face a certain crisis, we always go into a way not only to survive but to win it. We are quite victorious in a lot of ways, especially in this era, in this pandemic. We call it the new normal. life now, not only just a Filipino, but as an innovator, we also see that we Filipinos are striving to deliver a lot of technology nowadays. Not only the Philippines, including abroad, like us and MultiSys, we are implementing several technologies in 30 countries now. And it's really amazing because we thought that we Filipinos are behind, but look, foreign countries are getting technology from the Philippines, and we are implementing this to several countries now. So I think we're so lucky and we're so proud to tell that we Filipinos are really, we're really, on top of this nowadays. Um, I think we should not be disheartened or second guess to ourselves in our own journey. Any step is actually a journey that we should learn, processes that we should innovate. We make sure that these processes can embed a certain cashless, contactless, or paperless. And even us in Multisys, we have to adjust, we need to adapt, we need to restructure our processes. And most of our platforms, we have like 20 platforms, but we don't have choice but to innovate. We don't have choice but to embed a lot of new normal features in our technology. And especially in our battle to mitigate this pandemic, we have also to somehow lend our strength with the government. And fortunately, we're able to implement the pandemic mitigation platform. And I think as we try to do business, and safety is already a policy in the Philippines. We cannot operate without protecting our customers, our employees, our visitors. So we have to make sure that as we do business, we protect them. So we're quite lucky that we are part of this battle, along with the several IT companies in the Philippines. And I guess uh, we're here to contribute what we have. We're not perfect company, but we have something to contribute. I think it's all about collaboration, and it should look that way instead of like bringing the weakness all together. I think bringing the strength all together will be the perfect word for this for the new normal. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you for that, David. So, last but not least, we have Gwendolyn Kelly, who is first Vice President, Chief Technology Officer, and Head of the Information Technology Division at Insular Life. Gwen previously served as the company's Head of Business Transformation, wherein she pursued InLife's digital transformation through the implementation of key automation projects that strengthened the core applications that support the business and expanded the capabilities to elevate customer experience for Insular Life clients, as well as financial advisors, employees, and partners. Good day, Gwen, and thank you for joining us. Please.
Thank you, Leo. You can just call me Gwen. So, good morning to everyone watching this online forum. Thank you, Business World, for having me. And hello to my fellow panelists and to our host. Magandang araw, everyone. I'm Gwen Kelly. I'm the CTO and I lead the Information Technology Division of InLife. Mark will help me show a few slides. So Insular Life is a Filipino mutual life insurer, and we are 110 years in the business. As such, the company has seen the Philippines experience wars, revolutions, natural disasters, and of course, most recently, this pandemic. Through these years, the company has continued to carry out its mission of providing financial well being for every Filipino through its life and health insurance products and services. We have constantly evolved and remained relevant, especially in the aspect of technology and digital transformation. Always forward looking and customer centric, we understand the importance of being present where the customer needs us, whether this be in person or online. Next slide, please. We all know that the COVID-19 crisis has compelled many organizations to fast track the digital transformation of their operations with the imperative of A, promoting the safety of everyone, and B, making business transactions a more convenient experience. And this has been elaborated well by my fellow panelists. A lot of companies, in life included, are aggressively pursuing innovation to help overcome the restrictions brought about by this pandemic. During the quarantine period, our company had to quickly pivot our processes and services to ensure business continuity for our customers and for our distribution partners. Livelihoods depended on us being able to provide for this digital capability for our financial advisors and employees. It's that important. Next slide, please. For InLife, I think the three critical levers that helped us to easily adjust to the new normal are the following. First, top management's foresight. We have been pursuing digital transformation even before this pandemic hit. The foundations have been laid beforehand, and it was just a matter of deploying the needed processes and solutions needed by the business. Next slide, please. In fact, very rapidly and just in time when the quarantine took effect, we were able to set up the InLife Vibe process, which enabled our financial advisors to pursue their work of providing financial advice and perform insurance sales for our customers digitally. With InLife Vibe, our financial advisors are able to pursue their work of educating and providing insurance protection for Filipinos. Next slide, please. Second lever would be important partnerships. Most successful companies no longer work as isolated organizations, but rather as part of an ecosystem in this digital economy. This new business model based on digital platforms and interconnected networks blurs the boundaries of different industries. To remain relevant, we need to be open as an organization and partnering with other companies who can help us scale and expand our presence or provide plug-and-play services that will improve our customer journeys. Next slide, please. And lastly, the third lever, next slide, please. The ability to harness the benefits of technology with the right skills and the right mindset. Definitely, technical skills is foundational. However, a culture of digital openness and adaptability needs to be pervasive in an organization. An organization from the rank and file to the C-suite needs to be digitally aware, open, and willing to adapt. Collectively, we need to be an agile organization that can quickly and collaboratively implement new technologies and execute initiatives that enhance the customer experience, improve operational efficiency, and achieve its goals. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Gwen, for that presentation. Now, now that we've introduced the speakers, I just want to let the audience know that there's going to be a Q&A session right after the panel discussion, provided that we have time for that. So just send us your questions in the comments, and hopefully we have the time to ask these questions to the panelists. Now, that said, let us begin with the discussions. So for everyone, I'd just like to start this discussion by citing this portion of an article that I've read from the World Economic Forum, which basically said that companies that are doing better than others amid the pandemic tend to be those that have either already successfully implemented digital transformation and platform-based business models, or that they were able to quickly adopt digitalization during this time. So the first question is, among the programs or initiatives that your company has implemented pre-pandemic, which of these would you say proved to be vital in your firm's successful transition towards the so-called new normal? Maybe we can start with Ms. Marivic for that question.
Okay, thank you, Leo, and hello to David and Gwen. I would say that during the pandemic, we clearly were able to witness the value of the technology investments that we made. We were able to work and operate remotely, increase our engagement with our employees using the technology, and continue to deliver professional services to our clients in a responsive manner and at the level of quality that we are committed to deliver it. I cannot cite a specific initiative since all of these projects are really interrelated. But to maybe name a few, I would say that as early as 2000, the firm has already invested by assigning a computer unit to all our people, with close to 90% of our people issued with laptops. So you could imagine that when the lockdown was suddenly announced, we felt that we were ready because all of our people had their, either laptops or desktops that they can use. We have developed and used systems for several years that enable us to access information and other resources needed for work. This includes, systems needed for practice, as well as internal processes. We place our systems in the cloud, allowing our people to remotely access them anytime. And we have established a robust IT support organization that was able to respond immediately to the situation. I believe that we have the right talent, and that includes not only our IT people, but also our practice and admin staff, our IT trained, and are following very clear protocols to ensure cybersecurity safeguards are in place. So it's really an aggregation of the different initiatives that we have been doing in the past years.
Right. Thank you for that, Marivic. How about you, Gwen? I think as a former head of your InLife's business transformation division, I'd imagine this is something that's right up your alley.
Yeah, actually. So yeah, our dual transformation strategy maps out our digital initiatives to revitalize today and build tomorrow. So for InLife, this means ensuring that we protect, refresh, and elevate the core business while looking out into the future and bringing relevant new tools, skill sets, and new business models into the organization. As mentioned during my opening, we have built a robust technical architecture starting in 2015 when we implemented the automated underwriting system, a first in the industry at that time, and replaced our core insurance system with enhanced technology. This allowed for us to build capability after capability that improved customer servicing. We were able to develop a self help customer portal, which we believe offers the most comprehensive in the industry, allowing customers to pay premiums, switch funds, withdraw funds, take out policy loans, or withdraw dividends. We further expanded our customer channels by putting in place chat platforms and a chatbot in our Facebook Messenger account. Our adoption of the agile mindset in solutions development also paved the way for us being able to prioritize high value projects, increase collaboration, and quickly deliver solutions and products required by the business. During the pandemic, we were able to quickly launch our own e-store. But prior to this, we have established presence in Lazada, where our very affordable insurance products are available through the add to cart pay and deliver online process. Presently, we are working on automating more processes and implementing new tools that would enhance productivity, expand our e-commerce business, monetize our APIs, and further improve the customer experience. All these, I think, are made possible with an agile mindset, embracing new technology, and encouraging creative thinking and collaboration.
Thank you for that, Gwen, for your comments. For David, regarding MultiSys, I can imagine again, as a firm that provides software solutions, that the number of projects that you guys are involved in have significantly increased compared to what you normally guys work on pre-pandemic, right? But still, the same question: what were those programs carried out, before the pandemic that really that proved to be very helpful for you guys?
Yes, Leo, since we are a software company, it was like a slingshot to us, to be honest. We did not expect that most of our predictive solutions will be utilized during the pandemic. That's why I think in terms of like successful transition, we're not that affected in terms of like operation, but we need to expand in a way that we need to hire more people. We have to triple our numbers. We have to hire more programmers because the volume of job is really exhausting. That's the right word. Last year is like a whirlwind to us, Leo, and I think those implementation that we're able to implement for the past 5 years, before it was like maybe 5 to 10% usage, but because of the pandemic, we have to utilize everything. You know, we have to our early our e-learning flew high, our e-commerce. That's why our partnership with Shopee also flew. Our partnership with Lazada, our partnership with GrabPay, our partnership with GCash, our integration partnership with Paymaya and other payment channels. And it's quite a journey of e-payment and e-commerce now in the country. We're supporting like 19 e-payment channels, meaning these are e-wallets, the likes of SquidPay, DragonPay, QPay, OpenPay. There's a lot of pay solutions now in the Philippines, and we're quite somehow lucky because we have a ready solution. I think nowadays it's all about speed. You know, if you have a ready-made solution that's working already, people will can easily use you. But of course, our duty in MultiSys not only to do a successful transition with the new normal life now in terms of like business or any industry collaboration, we have to enhance ourselves as well. So we don't have choice but to embed a lot of innovations, new ones in our platforms. And I think we also focus on empowerment. There's a lot of programs in the initiatives of MultiSys, and we focus on our partners because our partners is our bread and butter here. As our partners grow, we also grow. So we support a lot of partners.
David, you there? Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, he got disconnected. Maybe we can get back to him once he comes back. So maybe we can proceed with the next question in the meantime. So far, you guys discussed your digital transformation programs even before the pandemic, and it's good to know that you've come prepared in for events like these. But even with that strategy in place, were there moments or instances where you realized that in the middle of this implementation that your strategy needs some serious retweaking or reconfiguration, given the faster rate of innovation in technology, as well as the disruption in business models? Um, how are these adjustments made, if ever? Maybe who wants to go first? Maybe Ms. Marivic?
Okay, thank you, Leo.
Yeah.
So I would say in general, we are implementing the systems that we have in place as planned. The current situation has actually allowed us to test the robustness of our IT systems and infrastructure. We are also continuing the development of new tools and systems that we have, decided to do at the start of the year. Now, in terms of tweaking, I remember that we changed our time reporting system. Prior to the pandemic, most of our people report to the office, and we have policies on starting work by at the latest 10 a.m. and work has to be reported on a continuous basis because people come to the office and they do their work. Now, because of the lockdown and subsequently the continuing remote work arrangement that we have tweaked the system, allowing our people to start anytime before 6 a.m. and end by 8:30 p.m. So we introduced that flexibility in the system, and they can render output on a staggered basis provided that they report a total of 9.5 hours. This is actually a recognition of the current situation of our employees. That unlike in the office where they can report to work as required, at home there are other challenges that they are faced with, and we must consider that as they report their time. Another system that we also introduced another system which is to support the health protocols that we put in place for reporting to office. We develop a simple system where people may apply online for approval to report to the office. So one cannot just come here. Right now I'm in the office, but I myself have to file this application to report to work. And there are only valid reasons for you to come to the office. The approval process requires also the accomplishment of health checklist forms. Now, these systems allow us to evaluate the requests and approve them online at the soonest possible time, and also give us information on the, on the availability, on the reporting of people in our office, which makes contact tracing easy in case there are incidents of possible COVID infections. So, in summary, I would say that things are working well. Then, in addition to that, we have introduced systems and adjustments to existing systems to adapt to the new normal.
All right. Thank you for that, Marivic. So David, you're back. So maybe you wanna resume your comments on the previous question before we can proceed.
Yes, Leo, sorry about that. As mentioned a while ago, shifting physical businesses to digital ones by exploring online services, as mentioned by our panelists, is all about you don't need to create a super complex system. Solving the problem is very important. That's very important. Websites, mobile apps, you embed a certain cashless or contactless system to your current platforms will be a very good tool for you to operate in the new normal. And of course, in our staff now in MultiSys, we need to adapt also in terms of like working habit. We need to do virtual conferencing, and we need to before I'm quite hesitated to like what will happen with our close collaboration company. But because of the pandemic, I discovered that most IT guys, they are more closer if they are not with each other because of they're more closer using virtual conferencing nowadays. So anyway, that's some of my insights, Aleo. So I can let's proceed with the next topic if it's okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, David. So while you're here, I might as well ask you the second question. No? In case you haven't heard. So this is the second question. So in the middle of your implementation of your digital transformation strategy, was there an instance where you have to retweak some of these strategies due to unexpected events, or some events that led to faster rate of innovations and disruption in business models? And what did you do to adjust with that?
We have we develop a lot of horizontal businesses, Leo. I call it horizontal
Mhm.
because we allow our partners to build on top of them. So example, if I will go with our e-government horizontal business, so we have to support a lot of national government and local government agencies. As you've seen, we're able to implement StaySafe.ph to like 700 LGUs now in the country. Currently, we have like almost 9 million users now, both the mobile app, QR code scanning, and web app. And we have more than 100,000 establishments using our contact tracing. And it, it's, it, I think those are some of the things that we have to embed to our technology. For example, we're also working with several IT companies that we have to embed these modules like e-commerce or e-payment or e-delivery services. So those are the things that we have to tweak in our system. Before we can do physical selling, right? You can just go to a store and buy offline your merchandise. But now you have to deal with online shopping, online grocery, cloud kitchen, etc., etc. That's why last year, before the end of the year, we're able to launch three big platforms. So first platform is called the Starbucks. Starbucks is like a self-service online shopping system that you can build your own store by yourself. You'll be the one to maintain your inventory, your products, etc., etc. And we also embed another technology called Delivery Box so that you'll be able to pick up and deliver your product. Currently, we have like 55,000 riders that we could pick up your product and deliver it door to door. And lastly, we're able to embed also our Paybox system. Paybox is a system payment is a payment platform where you can use GCash, you can use Paymaya, you can use Coins, you can use Grab, you can use Buy Center, you can use your BDO, your Metro Bank, your China Bank, credit card, and the like. And those are the things that we're able to embed in our platform. Those are some of the systems that we have to tweak, Leo. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Miss Gwen, same question.
Yeah, thank you. In my line of work, actually, it's quite normal that we have to retweak something midway. Actually, I remember our operations head saying, "We eat change for breakfast." I can't mention specifics because this is still a work in progress, but in one project, we were trying to plug in a new technology into an existing application, and we had already created a prototype for it. However, a better tech came which had higher accuracy levels, so we decided to go for this newer technology instead. But of course, there would be instances no, that where you can't just as easily pivot to another direction. Fortunately, more and more solutions, especially those offered in the cloud, come via subscription models, and this gives an IT organization more flexibility to drop old tech and subscribe to new tech more easily.
Uh, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Miss Gwen. So again, from what I've heard so far during the discussion, it seems that your respective firms were able to adjust and made some adjustments during this unfortunate time. But unfortunately, maybe I couldn't say, or we couldn't say the same for other firms. Maybe some of them are struggling to adapt, or maybe some of them are, if they're adapting digital transformation, they're not maximizing it enough. So the next question is, what do you think are the constraints that keep these firms from going digital and maximizing the benefits that come with it? Maybe David, maybe you can answer this first, since you're from MultiSys, and
Yes, most of the constraints were budgets, Leo, because
right,
the word digital transformation is quite expensive. It's not, it's not cheap to build your own platform. It's not cheap to do integration. It's not also cheap to build or reconstruct your whole platform, because you have to adapt the new normal processes. But these are the constraints that we're able to solve in MultiSys. That's why we have some programs that we don't need to let our partners pay us. So we do some kind of like revenue sharing with them. In fact, we have like 85 IT companies that we're supporting now, that we're able to white label our solution, give them the technology, and then they can sell this and rebrand this as their solution, and then we do revenue sharing. So meaning we are not uh, we don't consider ourselves like an expense to them, rather than a partner that they can use to sell platforms, or it's like a technology arm for them to operate in the new normal. Nowadays, it's not about building something. It's about using something effective and readily available, if possible, because people cannot wait. Companies cannot wait, or else they'll get behind. Second, maybe lack of familiarity in what happened in some present technologies that we do, especially if you are using a manual interaction business before, and you have to be familiarized with the new model and with the new technology, and you have to hire people for you to have this know-how. And those are the things that I think in adding some constraint in terms of like digital transformation, or maybe importance of technology, organization and recovery. You have to improve business resilience as well. You have to continue the operation using whatever you have, because you don't have choice but to use whatever you have. You cannot just close your business, because you have to adapt in the new normal. And I think bridging the gap is very important. That's why Multisys is focusing on the problem, and we focus on bridging the gaps. That's very important. So meaning, instead of you having this gap of business, we are like your bridge to connect this for you. You can operate again. Example, as mentioned a while ago, in our e-commerce, in our e-government, in our e-delivery services, in our e-banking services as well. That's why banks also tap us to develop their mobile apps and integrate them with the local system that they have, to make sure that they can operate in an online perspective. So I think those are the constraints that I think companies should take a look at to make sure they can overcome those.
all right. Thank you, David. Miss Gwen, maybe you have something to share regarding the industry sector, regarding the constraints that keep them from adapting for digital
Yeah.
solutions. Mm.
Yes. Top of mind would be regulation,
Mm-mm.
cybersecurity, because putting in place a very secured platform that's open to the public, that costs a lot. So cybersecurity would be one. Also, maturity of the buying public, because an innovation cannot be successful if people will not use it. So, the readiness of the public to adopt or adjust to the new technology that you are offering, that's also one of the constraints. But I think specifically for the insurance industry, regulation would be a constraint, because insurance is a highly regulated industry, and not just here in the Philippines, but globally. There are strict policies with regards e-commerce, data privacy, and capitalization requirements, which could, in a way, constrain the product development process or affect how we design the customer experience or how quickly we want to adopt new technologies. But as Mr. David Almerol mentioned, it's all about bridging the gap. So instead of being hindered, life insurance companies view this as an opportunity to partner with regulators and accredited industry associations to raise awareness and bring these topics for a discussion in different forums. That's from
Thank
me.
you for that. Thank you, Gwen. Miss Marivic, what about you regarding the professional services industry?
Well, based on our observation, the biggest challenge for companies to maximize the benefits of going digital is probably the inability to appreciate how technology can help them achieve their business goals and in the execution of their strategy. For some companies, going digital is, is nice to have, and it seems to be like a goal by itself. Now, I believe that technology or going digital is not a goal. It is a tool, a means to achieve the strategic goals of the business. It is an enabler. So the first task for companies would be to define the strategy and then define the technology infrastructure that it needs to support the strategy. If there is an alignment, then the company will therefore have a burning issue to execute its digital transformation plans. It establishes the why. Why are we going to go digital? Because you need it to execute your strategy. I think that's the first challenge that must be faced by an organization so that it can get the buy-in from the different stakeholders, including the owners of the company, to make the necessary investment.
All right. Thank you, Marivic. So now let's delve a bit into a more micro level or personal, no, not really personal, but micro, if you will. So much of the discussion surrounding, digital transformation tend to focus on what its impact is going to be on the firm or to its employees, but rarely, if ever, do we see this discussion center around its effects on senior executives such as yourselves. That said, what would you say is the biggest impact of digital transformation in your duties and responsibilities as leaders? And were there specific tasks that came about as a result of the adjustments made during the pandemic? Um, wants to take a stab at it first? Maybe,
Let
want to
me.
volunteer. Yeah, Miss Gwen, please.
Yeah. Um, so regardless of age and gender, no, I believe this pandemic has really further disrupted the way people work, and not just work, even the way people study, shop, worship. Work at the C-suite level is no exception. We all needed to adopt to doing daily back-to-back meetings online. We all had to learn how to use different digital channels for different types of different types and urgency of communications. In terms of perspective, this pandemic just, I think, further brought home the urgency of continuously refining our digital strategies, driving a culture of customer focus and innovation, and upskilling our people and investing time and money on what would add value to the business. I remember reading a research by the Association of Executive Search and Leadership Consultants, and the executive summary listed that CEOs must drive the culture change.
Mhm.
CHROs must lead the talent strategy. CFOs must support innovation through long term investment. CMOs must evangelize customer centricity across the enterprise. And CTOs, like myself, must become more commercial and seize opportunities in the marketplace.
Did we miss Leo? Okay,
Leo, back
Leo's
to you.
there. Oops.
I guess we lost Leo.
I think we lost Leo, but I'd like to support what Gwen said. No, as the CEO of the firm, I think my primary responsibility is to lead the firm in defining its future vision and drawing up the strategy to achieve the same. And that includes looking at how technology can help us achieve the goals that we have set. I find myself spending a lot of time studying and analyzing how we can use technology to improve client servicing, improve operational efficiencies, and engage in a better way and empower our people more. This requires reading materials on new trends, even if I'm not an IT person, but I try to read really on the new trends. I look at the best practices, not only in professional services firms, but also in other industries, and look at possible ways to introduce them in the way we work. And I reach out to individuals who have already addressed similar challenges. I think another role that I have as CEO is to look for the right person to oversee our digital transformation. As Gwen mentioned, I need somebody who can understand our business and has the ability to help us craft our digital roadmap and guide us in the execution. Last but not the least would be change management. Transformational initiatives would usually disrupt the status quo, and this affects the roles and behavior of our people. And therefore, it is important that whenever we look at new initiatives, we reach out to the people who would be affected and provide the necessary training. So I guess, though, in a nutshell, that would be my focus as CEO.
All right.
Let me
Thank you
add
for
to
that.
that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Leo.
Go.
Yeah,
Go.
I think let me add to that. Well, there's a lot of impact of this, of this new era, especially with this digital transformation to my duties and responsibilities as a CEO of the company. And we have to be very creative. There's no such thing as like, by the book to
Mhm.
to use for you to be very efficient. You have to be very creative in implementing rules and regulations with the company, and we have to learn the power of delegation. That's why in MultiSys we have to, as mentioned a while ago by one of our speaker, that we need to empower our people. I think focusing on people is very important nowadays, and we have to trust them. We have to trust them that they can deliver, and we have to give them the free will to, to be themselves, because they cannot be me. They cannot be. They cannot act like what we do. But identifying the weaknesses and strengths of your people is very important, and combining all of this strength together as an organization is very important. I think it's like playing a chess game, that you know where your pieces are and what are their expertise, and making them move. As they move, you have to make sure that they do their purpose. And you should not, and as a CEO of Multisys, I don't expect my people to become perfect. There's no such thing in the world, but I expect them to learn. I think every failure and every mistake that they're able to committed, I'm quite lucky to tell them that, hey, it's okay. It's okay to fail, but learn. It's okay to commit mistake, but learn. And as we go as a organization, I was able to somehow tell them that, hey, you have to teach me also, because I have to learn myself. So you have to tell me, you have to correct me if I said something that's not, it will not contribute, innovation, or it will contribute improvement to the company. So it's all about learning from each other. And I think creating this close collaboration, even we are not with each other, because 90% of our people now, they're working from home, and we have to meet like every week, or we create like a department or division for them to coordinate independently. But it's okay as long as they deliver, as long as they show passion, the same passion that I have. I think those are the things that impacted me as a as a CEO in MultiSys. But it's a very good start, for a new chapter of MultiSys. It's more on like trusting the people, and it's amazing. They're really contributing so much in the company as executives. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that, guys. Yeah, I got lost there a bit, so apologies for that. Right. So yeah, you all mentioned about this general what you call it, responsibilities that you have to pick up, right, along with the pandemic. But is there like a specific skill that maybe a senior executive should have right now to be able to adjust to the pandemic? Because prior to this, you have the fourth industrial revolution discussions last year. Like you have to upscale your employees. You also have to upscale, management. But right now, would you have like a specific skill in mind that you would want senior managers to have? Maybe Miss Marivic?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I've heard this said by so many executives. No, before when we were in the office, we're used to get the assistance of our IT people or marketing people if we need to do something, right? But now that we are working remotely, we're mostly at home. I think one of the things we all realize is that we can actually do it ourselves. Trial and error if needed. So agility, flexibility to cope under the current situation is very important. Now, as to specific work-related skills, when I was, pondering about this, it's funny, but the use of Microsoft Teams for video calls as well as Zoom has been really very helpful in communicating with our people, with our clients, and even participating in group discussions, industry discussions like this. So simple things like uh, uploading the virtual background is really a challenge maybe for a non-IT person like me. Recording videos of myself at home and editing it is something that I've learned during the past 6 months. And maybe it's quite embarrassing, but I would have to admit that in the past, prior to the pandemic, I wasn't, doing any shopping online. But part of the adjustment to the new normal would be using online platforms, as David was mentioning. So I was actually smiling earlier when he was saying there are so many online platforms right now. I've learned how to do it, and even remitting money using GCash. In the past, I didn't know how to do it, but during the lockdown, there was a particular need. I wanted to transfer money to the janitors of the firm, and I found that they do not know their bank account numbers, and they wanted me to transfer via GCash. So these are all simple things that we take for granted. Being executives, having the assistance of people in your office, you always reach out to them to do these things for you. But during this environment, we cope and we learn. Sabi nga ni Leo, we'll have to learn.
Thank you, Marivic, for that. Maybe David, you wanna answer this? You have something to add?
Yes. I'd l- I'd learned a lot to this because of this pandemic, and personally, uh, you know, because me, I love learning. I talk to the lowest ground. I talk to our janitor. I would love to learn. And as I talk to executives, and I also learn a lot of things, especially with the how to the mindset. I think that the mindset of, like, managing a certain company is not easy if you are not connected with each other. And my biggest fear when the pandemic occurred, how can I delegate job? How can I talk to my people? How could I ask people to do this and to do that? So I'm quite scared during the first couple of months. But we learned to become creative. And in fact, as we build new divisions inside MultiSys, I also learned that there are people that they can do offline or online leadership. So you can find a lot of talents inside the company. And then as you see these talents, instead of asking them to do what you want, you can ask them, do whatever you want, and I trust you. You can do it. And as you trust your people, they will learn that, hey, I can do it. And as they do it, they finish the job without me. I think delegation and being creative in this new normal is the best way to do it. Online is not painful, actually. Some people think that if you go online, it's quite painful. You have to, uh, as mentioned by Miss Marivic, he before she's not doing those things, but now she's doing it. So, you see, I think it's all about, don't be scared in using online services, and then along the way you will learn. And yeah, I think those are the things that I was able to learn this pandemic. I cannot do it. I cannot do it alone. I need people. I need my executives to do it. That's why I have to trust them, and I have to tell them that, hey, you know my passion. It's your company, by the way. If the company grows, you also grow. So it's your duty. It's your duty to protect the interests of the company. It's your duty to grow it, because as it grows, you also grow because you are inside Multisys. So it's all about inclusiveness. So that's what we do in Multisys. Thank you, Leo.
Thank you for that, David. How about you, Miss Gwen?
Yeah, I like what Miss Marivic said. She said everyone had to learn to do things themselves in this new normal. No? And I want to expound on that a bit. Organizations should not fall victim to the perception that it is the responsibility of just one department, the IT department to be specific, with regards to digital transformation. Because to build a successful culture of innovation, leaders need to drive the change needed in their organizations. In terms of skills needed, I read in another study, there is demand for people who combine different skills, a triangle of sought after skills. It combines the three aspects of data analytics, including harvesting correct insights from data, technological fluency or an awareness on emerging tech and an innovative mind, and business acumen. But I think in the middle of that triangle would be execution skills. Um, and personally, I think more of mindset than skill, innovative thinking and agility would be important. For skills, execution skills, very important, because good ideas are a dime a dozen. But converting or developing these ideas into something usable or operable and beneficial, there lies the challenge. So, but execution allows vision to become reality. That's for me.
Thank you, Gwen. So for the next question, this is actually the final one for the panel discussion part, and this will serve as a takeaway for the audience. So basically, the question is, what advice would you give to senior executives that are still unsure of whether they are on the right track with regard to digital transformation, and what questions should they ask themselves regarding the matter? Maybe we'll start with you, Miss Gwen.
Oh, okay. So pursuing digital transformation entails developing a goal-oriented roadmap, which would change along the way, definitely. It also entails managing the change needed at the organizational and individual level and measuring the transformation effort. Everyone in the organization needs to know and agree on the definition of a successful digital transformation strategy. Perhaps the questions to ask would be, what is the desired end state? How will you measure your success? Will it be based on meeting top line goals? Will it be based on people loving your brand? The company needs to focus on the right metrics. With regards culture and talent, we ask, do we have the right skills and the right talents needed to pursue digital transformation? What is the prevailing culture? Do you have an agile organization? How quickly can you implement new products or digitization projects? Difficult for a huge organization, but it is important to break down the silos and transform into an agile organization. And in terms of buy-in, we need to ask, is everyone in the organization aware and on board the company's digital transformation goals and progress? Make sure that the objectives are clearly communicated and everyone has a clear definition of success. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen. Next, we have David for that.
Yes. I have some, I cannot consider it as an advice, but maybe some insights. If some companies, if they know if they are in the right track in their digital transformation journey, but I remember my first meeting with my staff when this new year. I told them we have one word this year, one word: simplify. So technology is a tool for you to simplify the processes. It's not something to to disrupt or destroy the old processes, but it will simplify the journey. There are things that there are there are stuff or there are organizations that they move so much but they accomplish so little. But there are also organizations that they look slow but they accomplish more. I think simplicity and creativity is the best thing to do this new normal. You don't need to complicate things, and you have to look for a way to simplify the processes. If your process is 1 to 5, you might think of 1 to 3 or maybe 1 and 2. If there are unnecessary processes that it will just elongate those business flows, you might cut into pieces and then delegate this to multiple divisions or departments. There are ways to simplify the process. As I always mention to my partners, technology is not a burden. It's actually a tool or an engine, okay, for you to fly things easily, to fly things lighter. Technology should not be expensive. There are ways to do digital transformation. You can partner with companies, not only MultiSys. There are thousands of IT companies in the Philippines that they could help you in your digital transformation. Sometimes you do trial and error. That's a good thing because we will learn. But if you know some company that could slingshot your digital transformation journey without spending so much, you better take a look at that route, because sometimes you need someone to help you out. Like in MultiSys, we're not a perfect IT company, but we always learn from other IT company, and we talk and we partner, we collaborate, we learn from each other. It's like riding our shoulders together. Whatever I have, you use it. Whatever you have, I use it, and then let's collaborate, and then let's try to do business together. I think nowadays it's all about bayanihan. You cannot survive as a single company nowadays. We need each other's help. We need Insular, we need P&A, we need all the advices. It's all about creating the notion, but execution and making it live in a way that it's not just stories. Nowadays it's easy to tell stories, but as long as being used, as being effective, it's being efficient, then there you go. That's the right path to do. And of course, you have to make sure that you are time saving, the efficiency, the cost effective, the convenience, the dynamic mobility. Those are the things that we should prioritize. Those are some of my humble insights as a personal advice to executives. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Last but not least, we have Miss Marivic for that question.
I believe that
Ma'am?
senior,
Sorry.
yes, I believe that senior executives must look at their overall business goals. I again would like to go back to the strategy because that is the very foundation, no? And then they must align their digital strategy around it. If they feel that they are not, equipped enough to define that, I would suggest that they consider getting expert help, such as hiring a transformation officer or talking to partners like what David has been saying. They have to consider the transformation, digital transformation is a long-term project. It is a journey that they must start now. Now, at the same time, I would think that senior executives must also give due importance to aligning the mindset of their employees to innovation and prepare the organization for change. Building the right culture where change and innovation is accepted is important to the success of that digital transformation plan.
Thank you, Marivic, for that closing statement. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for the panel discussions. But I think we still have time for the audience Q&A um, portion, specifically on two questions. So first, I think we have one from Ken Lerona. So the question is, how do you make sure to integrate in your technology roadmaps the strategy and design inclusion of marginalized sectors such as the seniors, the late adopters, and those at the countryside? How do you empower them to adapt to these technologies to scale grassroots usage? Anyone want to answer that question?
Let me start with answering that, Leo. I think, as mentioned a while ago, technology is not to complicate things, to simplify. I think it's best if technology companies should focus on simplicity and creating a 1, 2 steps so that even a non-techie individuals can adapt. Even the senior, individuals can also adapt. I think user friendliness and adding fun on it. It's all
Uh,
about using something that's fun. Sometimes people don't want to use it if it's boring. And imagine, even my lolo, they know now how to use Facebook. They know now how to shop online. So it's all about creating fun out of it, and then they will discover that, oh, it's so fun naman pala to use it. I think
uh,
creating this
David,
mindset
sorry,
of
I think you're choppy right now. Yeah, maybe you can repeat your response regarding that
okay, I
question.
hope my internet is
Yeah,
okay now. But what I'm saying is,
yeah.
while you are simplifying the process and adding a more friendly interface of your systems or platform, you have to add some exciting, way to use it. Like creating a fun thing inside it. As mentioned a while ago, even my lolo, even my lola, they know how to use Facebook. They know how to use. They can buy online now. They can shop online, and it's all about making them experience that exciting moments, in the online world. And there you go, they will learn. Even we have to make our system idiot free or idiot proof, or
Friendly.
make it a very friendly, a one to step, as many as we can, in terms of like creating innovation but simplifying the process at the same time.
All right. Thank you for that, David. Anybody else wants to answer that question? If there's none, maybe we can proceed um, with the second question. If there's no one else, okay, I'll take that as a yes. So, okay, so here's the second question. Can you cite, this is from Willie Reyes. Can you cite best practices for businesses now going digital, as well as pitfalls to avoid? Who wants to answer that question?
Okay, Leia, I'll try to answer that. I think one of the pitfalls or things that scare people in adopting new technologies is the threat of cybersecurity. And I think it has increased now with the new normal because people are working outside of the office and services are now being provided online. It is important, I believe, for companies to really appreciate the risk, evaluate where are the possible points where such breaches of security may happen. And in this connection, I'd like to say that in our firm, we have adopted early minimum cybersecurity standards. No, we do have encryption of all our storage containing company data. We have multi-factor authentication with combined strong words, And more importantly, we have minimum annual cybersecurity training for all our people. And again, the point made by Gwen earlier, it is not just the IT people who are, responsible for our cybersecurity, but our own individual employee in the firm. So as a practice, actually, we have simulated phishing emails being sent to our employees to test really their understanding of the risk involved and assess the readiness to address the particular situation. So just cybersecurity is an important item. It's something that we should avoid.
Thank you, Marivic. Anyone else wants to answer that?
Just to add to that statement, Leo, that's very important. That's why in MultiSys, every time that we build something, we build a platform or a website or a certain integration, we have to build everything cybersecurity and data privacy by design. That's very important. You cannot just build something and then you can do the cybersecurity after. As you build it, you secure it. As you launch something, that's why in MultiSys we have a third party also. Aside from having our internal cybersecurity team, we have to hire also a third party so that someone will guard, the activities of our people. Because sometimes data privacy and cybersecurity is actually it's no longer an option. I always mention this to my partners that hey, you have to embed cybersecurity and data privacy by design. Do not start something without considering them. It's already a mandate. That's why in MultiSys, we also now implementing our private blockchain, and you have to double the security so that make sure that before someone can access the data, you're using two security at the same time, and you have to do double saving as well. So you have two storage. So we do that in MultiSys now that we have to multiply the layer of protection and multiply also the layer of security at the same time. Thank you, Leo.
All right. Thank you, David. So, if there's no additional
Yeah,
insight on that,
let me try.
yes.
So as we have been speaking the last hour, I guess the playbook for a good digital transformation would be to be able to craft the strategy, the vision, the roadmap, and making sure that everyone is on board and ensure that the right initiatives are undertaken, implemented, and supported. Um, we prioritize projects based on business value and making the difficult decisions to defer or not to take on certain initiatives, and perhaps upskilling the team and driving the culture, ensuring teams work seamlessly, people are trained and aware of the usability of new technology to the business, project managers are able to execute flawlessly. In terms of pitfalls, I would say not communicating enough and not putting in measures to measure the success of your strategy and not breaking down the silos.
Thank you, Ms. Gwen. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for this session. So many thanks to our speakers, Ms. Marivic Españo, Mr. David Almerol Jr., and Ms. Gwen Kelly.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank the series sponsors, Insular Life, as well as to our partners. You have the Bank Marketing Association of the Philippines, the British Chamber of Commerce Philippines, the Financial Executives Institute of the Philippines, Management Association of the Philippines, the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Philippine Association of National Advertisers, and the Philippine Star, our media partner for this session. Also, I'd like to thank everyone who joined today's discussion. Join us again next week for the final session of BusinessWorld Insights Leadership Series to discuss the topic, preparing the next gen leaders, millennials in the C-suite. Be sure to tune in to BusinessWorld's social media pages to be updated on our next projects. Again, this is Lei Uy, and this has been BusinessWorld Insights.